You know that really terrifying moment when you start a brand new video game? Like right after the opening cinematic finishes,
Oh, yeah.
the cutscene ends, and you are suddenly dropped into this massive, completely unfamiliar world.
And you have absolutely no idea what you're doing.
Exactly. You have no idea what the controls are. You don't know how to run. You haven't figured out how to open your inventory.
Right.
And you definitely don't know how to talk to the NTCs to figure out where you are actually supposed to go.
Yeah, it's that feeling of just total sudden helplessness. You have an objective, but zero tools to actually interact with the environment around you.
Yes. And that is exactly what traveling to a foreign country feels like when you don't speak a single word of the local language.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you are dropped onto the map, the graphics are amazing, but you literally don't know the button combination to simply buy a bottle of water.
It's terrifying.
It really is. So, today's deep dive is based on a stack of material that acts as the ultimate cheat sheet for that exact scenario. We are looking at a highly specific English for Travelers phrasebook and its accompanying audio transcript.
Right. And on the surface, this material, it reads like a very standard, straightforward list of phrases. You know, say this at the hotel, say that at the restaurant.
Right.
But if we dig into the subtext, there's a whole philosophy operating underneath these vocabulary lists.
Okay, let's unpack this, because our mission today isn't to sit here and memorize vocabulary words. We are going to use this phrasebook and transcript to decode the underlying anatomy of traveling.
Yeah, we want to look at the psychology of it.
Exactly. The psychology of being a stranger in a new place, the shifting power dynamics of navigating foreign spaces, and how language effectively functions as a multi-tool for basic survival.
And I think the core theme that emerges from this source material is that language, and in this case English, is stripped of its academic baggage.
Yeah.
Like, we aren't looking at complex grammar trees or theoretical linguistics. Language is presented entirely as a practical kinetic tool.
A kinetic tool, I like that.
Yeah, it's a mechanism to connect with the physical world, solve immediate problems, and literally just move your body through space.
Well, the text actually sets this tone right out of the gate. It literally instructs the learner not to worry about difficult grammar.
Which is so rare for a language guide.
Right. It says focus entirely on listening, understanding, and repeating. It's essentially giving the traveler permission to treat the language like a blunt instrument if necessary.
To get the job done.
Exactly. So I want to start where the vast majority of international journeys start. The threshold. The airport.
The airports. They're fascinating spaces because they're transition zones. They are heavily regulated bubbles of logistics.
Right, and when you first arrive at an airport, your mental state is pure logistics. The vocabulary provided for this phase is stripped down to the absolute bare essentials. Like, where is the check-in counter? Or where is my departure gate? What time does boarding begin?
Right.
At this stage, the traveler isn't trying to absorb culture, you know? They are just trying to move their physical body and their luggage from point A to point B without making a catastrophic mistake.
And notice how much of this early vocabulary is dedicated to mitigating the stress of luggage rules.
Oh, the baggage panic is real.
It's so real. You see sentences in the guide like, how many bags can I check in? Or is this bag allowed as carry-on luggage? The interactions at this stage they're completely transactional.
Yeah.
The airline employee wants to process you, and you want to be processed.
But then you step off the plane in the new country, right? You walk down those long corridors and you hit immigration.
And suddenly the vibe in the room changes completely.
It really does. It goes from a customer service transaction to an official interrogation. The transcript prepares the traveler for the classic questions.
What is the purpose of your visit?
Exactly. And you might offer a simple, I'm here for tourism. Or they ask about your duration and you say, I'm staying for 7 days. And they ask where you are staying.
Which are standard border control procedures globally.
They are, but I want to push back on the methodology the source uses here because, well, something really stood out to me.
Okay, what was it?
When it covers the question, do you have a return ticket? The explicit advice given to the traveler is to simply answer, yes, I do.
Okay.
And the text then introduces a hard rule. Keep your answers short, clear, and confident.
Right.
But why? If you are learning a language, isn't the goal to be conversational?
You'd think so, yeah.
So why not teach them to say, yes, I fly out next Tuesday on Delta. I'm really looking forward to seeing the city. Is this just about accommodating their limited vocabulary, or is there a deeper reason for being so brief?
I don't think it's about vocabulary limitations at all, honestly. What we are seeing here is sociological advice masquerading as a language lesson.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because immigration is a high-security zone. It's a border checkpoint governed by highly asymmetrical power dynamics.
Yeah.
The person sitting behind that glass booth, they hold entirely all the cards regarding your immediate future.
I mean, they can literally put you on a plane back home.
Exactly. They are not there to welcome you or be your friend. Their entire job is risk assessment.
Right.
In that specific psychological environment, over-explaining or trying to be overly conversational can actually backfire.
How so?
Well, it can lead to confusion, or worse, it can breed suspicion. They might think, why is this person talking so much? Are they nervous? Are they hiding something?
Oh, wow.
The material is implicitly teaching the traveler how to navigate a massive power imbalance. When an authority figure asks for data, you provide the exact data requested, and absolutely nothing more.
So, do you have a return ticket? The required data is binary. Yes, I do.
Exactly.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that. So it's not, don't mess up your English. It's, don't accidentally invite a secondary screening because you rambled and used the wrong verb tense.
Right. The threshold is entirely about passing through the membrane of the country with minimal friction. The conversation comes later.
Okay, that makes total sense. So, you get a stamp, you pass the border, and you are officially in the new country. Now, the mental state shifts again.
Big time.
You transition from the sterile, highly controlled environment of the airport out into the wild. You are navigating the physical space of a foreign city.
Right. Moving from dealing with official state interrogations to relying on the unpredictable kindness of random strangers.
This is the transit phase, and it requires an enormous psychological shift. This is where vulnerability really kicks in for a traveler.
Absolutely.
I felt that vulnerability just reading the transit phrases. You have things like asking, which train goes to London? Or which platform do I need?
Yeah, basic navigation.
But there is one specific phrase for taking the bus that I found incredibly poignant.
What's that?
It's, could you please tell me when we arrive at Central Station? Think about the sheer amount of trust required to say that to a stranger driving a bus. You are sitting there, you probably don't have cell service yet, you can't read the street signs passing by, and you are literally handing a stranger the responsibility for your itinerary.
It's wild when you frame it like that. You are actively surrendering your illusion of control. And that surrender extends to simply walking down the street too.
Right.
The material covers how how can I get to the city center? And then how to parse the spatial responses. Like go straight, turn left, across from the hotel.
But the ultimate admission of vulnerability in this whole section, which the transcript actually labels a very useful sentence, is just saying, excuse me, I'm lost, could you help me?
Yeah.
I read that and I thought about daily life. How hard is it for a competent adult in their home city to admit they are totally lost?
It's tough.
It feels like a massive blow to the ego. It feels like admitting defeat.
Well, we tightly cling to our competence, don't we? I mean, at home, being lost is a failure of your own navigation. But abroad, being lost is essentially the default state of being. You have to strip away that ego.
But see, stripping away the ego is hard. And looking at this material, there's a phrase they emphasize heavily that I actually struggle with.
Okay.
They highlight, could you say that again, please? And they call it an excellent tool.
Right.
But if I'm in a busy train station in Tokyo or Berlin, and I ask a local a question and they answer, and I just stare at them and say, could you say that again? I feel like I just look foolish.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just advertise my incompetence?
I totally understand why it feels that way, but I think we have to reframe what that phrase actually accomplishes. It isn't a white flag of surrender.
It's not.
No, the phrasing here is deliberate because it normalizes asking for repetition, not as a failure of your own comprehension, but as a proactive mechanism of control.
Wait, how does admitting I didn't understand give me control?
Because native speakers talk quickly, right? They use slang, they blur their words together.
Yeah.
When you say, could you say that again, please? You are forcing the interaction to pause.
Oh, I see.
You are hitting the brakes on a conversation that is moving way too fast for your cognitive load. It forces the native speaker to consciously slow down and accommodate you.
Huh.
It actually turns a moment of internal panic into a moment of agency. You are managing the pace of the environment.
Okay, hitting the brakes. I really like that. It's like a verbal speed bump to give your brain a second to catch up.
Exactly.
So we've survived the vulnerability of the streets. We aren't hopelessly lost anymore. And we finally pull our luggage up to the hotel. We are establishing our base camp.
Right. We are shifting from exposure on the street to establishing a perimeter. This is about securing a safe harbor.
And the source material includes a mini travel conversation to demonstrate this psychological shift. Our traveler walks up to the front desk, hands over his passport, and secures his room. But what's interesting is the immediate transition to anchoring himself. He doesn't just want the key. He finds out breakfast is from 7 to 10 a.m.
And that isn't just about food.
No.
Knowing when breakfast is served provides a crucial temporal anchor for a traveler whose internal clock is completely wrecked by a new time zone. It imposes structure on the chaos.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And he gets the Wi-Fi password, establishing a lifeline back to his real life. But what fascinated me most about the hotel section wasn't the check-in process.
What was it?
It was the vocabulary provided for discomfort. The material specifically empowers the traveler to complain.
Oh, yes.
It gives them sentences like, there's a problem with my room, or the air conditioner isn't working, or there's no hot water.
Which is a significant leap from the vulnerability we just discussed on the street.
Yes, that's exactly it. Why is complaining in a foreign language so difficult but so necessary? I mean, on the street, you are a beggar for directions. But in the hotel, you are paying for a service.
Yeah.
Learning to say, could you please change my room, is a massive shift. You are no longer just a passive survivor, grateful you didn't get on the wrong train.
Right.
You are actively asserting your rights as a consumer. You are drawing a boundary and saying, this is my domain for the night, and it must meet a standard.
It's the restoration of the ego we talked about earlier.
Wow.
Once that base camp is secure and you've established that control, the traveler then has the psychological bandwidth to go back out into the world.
Which brings us to the dining section, which reveals a completely different type of interaction.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
This is the part that really clicked for me. Obviously, a restaurant requires survival basic. You have to know how to ask for a table for two or say, could I see the menu, please?
Sure.
And navigating dietary restrictions is literal bodily survival. If you have an allergy, knowing how to ask, does this contain nuts or is this vegetarian, is non-negotiable.
Absolute foundational safety.
Right. But once the safety checks are cleared, the material highlights a phrase that changes the entire trajectory of the trip. What do you recommend?
Oh, yeah.
Or what's the most popular dish here?
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
It's a complete inversion of the hotel dynamic.
Exactly. Up until this moment in the timeline, every single question the traveler has asked has been about controlling their environment.
Where's my gate? How do I get to the center?
Fix my air conditioner. It's all about bending the environment to the traveler's needs. But the second you sit at a local restaurant and ask the waiter, what do you recommend? You are actively, voluntarily handing your agency over to the local culture.
Wow.
You are stopping the survival mechanics and saying, surprise me. You are finally starting to experience the place rather than just survive it.
It is the ultimate gateway to cultural immersion. You are trusting the local expertise over your own preferences.
Yeah.
And speaking of the intersection between language and culture, the text slips in a really fascinating geographical nuance right at the end of this dining section.
What's that?
It teaches the phrase, could I have the bill, please? But it explicitly pauses to note that if you are in the United States, you're much more likely to hear, could I get the check, please?
Oh, the bill versus the check.
Yeah. It seems like a minor vocabulary distinction, but it underscores a fundamental truth about how language operates in the real world. Language is intimately physically tied to local geography.
Right.
It is not a rigid, monolithic set of textbook rules that applies universally across the globe. The physical soil you are standing on dictates the words you must use just as much as any dictionary does.
Which is a great reminder that you aren't just learning English, you're learning how English adapts to the culture using it.
Exactly.
So we've navigated the airport border, we survived the vulnerability of transit, we asserted our rights at the hotel, and we yielded to the culture at the restaurant. It's a beautiful trip.
Go so far.
Right. But what happens when the wheels completely fall off? Because the source material doesn't pretend travel is a perfect Instagram highlight reel, it dedicates a substantial section to crisis management.
Because friction is inevitable. A system as complex as international travel will eventually break down.
Yeah.
And how a traveler mentally and linguistically handles that friction often defines their entire memory of the trip.
Oh, for sure. The material prepares you for the absolute nightmares.
Yeah.
My luggage is missing. My bag didn't arrive.
The worst.
Or the terrifying, heart-stopping realization of, I've lost my passport, could you help me? It even covers medical emergencies, needing a doctor, or just generally crying out, please help me.
Yeah.
But here is where my brain gets stuck. Picture this. You've been flying for 14 hours.
Oh, man.
It is 2 a.m. You are standing at the baggage carousel. The belt stops moving, and your bag with everything you own is nowhere to be found. The adrenaline spikes, the panic sets in.
Total nightmare.
How on earth is a language learner supposed to remember their verb conjugations and polite phrasing under that kind of neurological stress?
They aren't.
They aren't.
No, and what is brilliant about the philosophy of this material is that it explicitly anticipates that exact neurological panic. Right in the middle of the emergency section, there is a clear reassurance.
What does it say?
It tells the learner, you don't need perfect English in an emergency. Speak slowly and use simple words.
Oh, wow. So it's basically saying just drop the grammar, drop the rules, communicate the immediate need.
Precisely. In a state of true crisis, human empathy overrides linguistic precision.
Right.
If someone sees you in distress at 2 a.m., they're going to try to help you figure out the missing bag, even if your sentence structure is a complete disaster.
Because they're human.
Exactly. However, the text draws a very sharp, deliberate contrast between this emergency bluntness and the absolute necessity of politeness in everyday non-crisis interactions.
Yeah, the guide is heavy on politeness. It's almost treated like currency.
It is currency. The material dedicates an entire section to the mechanics of upgrading blunt demands into polite requests. Well, it illustrates the stark social difference between walking up to someone and saying, "Give me water," versus saying, "Could I have some water, please?"
Yeah. Huge difference.
Or saying "repeat" versus the phrase we discussed earlier, "Could you say that again, please?"
It even emphasizes wrapping up interactions with gratitude, right? Like, thank you so much, or I really appreciate your help.
And we have to examine why this matters so much for a traveler. The material points out that polite English is crucial because you are constantly speaking with people you have never met before.
Right?
Think about it sociologically. When you are a traveler in a foreign city, your social capital is absolute zero.
Because nobody knows who you are.
Exactly.
Huh.
You don't have friends in the neighborhood. You don't have a professional reputation. You have no accumulated goodwill.
Right.
You are entirely 100% reliant on the fleeting goodwill of absolute strangers. Politeness, using "could I" instead of "give me," using "please" and "thank you," it acts as the vital social lubricant.
It elevates you from being a demanding nuisance to being a guest that a local actually wants to help.
Yes.
It's like, if you are bleeding or your passport is stolen, you can just yell, "Help."
Exactly.
But if you just want some extra ketchup at a diner or you need directions to a museum, you better wrap that request in a very nice, polite package. Because why should they take time out of their day for you?
Politeness bridges the gap where social capital doesn't exist.
That's a great way to put it. So if we pull all the way back and look at the entire scope of this material, we've gone from the sterile intimidation of the immigration desk to the vulnerability of the transit system.
Right.
We've talked about asking for a larger size while shopping. Do you have this in a larger size? We've taken the taxi ride, figured out the cost, and learned to tell the driver to keep the change. We have analyzed the mechanics of almost every phase of a trip.
We've mapped the entire spectrum of the journey.
Right. And as the source material draws to a close, it synthesizes all of these different phases into one really powerful overarching thesis. It speaks, completely flat out, that you do not need to speak perfect English to travel.
Which is such a relief.
Right. The ultimate lesson of this entire stack of vocabulary isn't actually the vocabulary itself.
Yeah.
The text explicitly instructs the learner that for a successful trip, a traveler really only needs 3 things: a few useful sentences, a positive attitude, and the courage to speak.
The courage to speak. That is the true crux of the material.
It really is.
The conclusion reminds the learner that the act of traveling is ultimately about meeting new people, experiencing different cultures, and building your own internal confidence.
Yeah.
Language, in this context, is merely the bridge constructed to get you to those experiences. It's the vehicle, it is not the destination.
And it essentially begs the traveler to practice. To keep practicing until these phrases, "excuse me, could you help me?" or "how much is this?" feel natural in their mouth.
Right.
To keep speaking even when it's scary. Which actually leaves me with a thought I haven't been able to shake since reading this.
What's that?
If perfect grammar truly isn't necessary for human connection, as this material so clearly argues, does our profound fear of making mistakes actually rob us of the most authentic travel experiences?
Wow. Because we get so paralyzed by wanting to sound flawless that we choose to stay silent instead?
Yes. We hide in our safe, climate-controlled hotel rooms, or we only go to restaurants where we can just silently point at pictures on a menu, all because we don't want to sound foolish or incompetent to a stranger we will literally never see again.
So true.
But what if that clumsy, imperfect struggle to communicate, the desperate pointing, the mutual laughing when you use the wrong word, the messy mixing of hand gestures and broken sentences, what if that is the actual destination?
Yeah.
Going back to that video game analogy we started with, you don't play a game just to instantly skip to the end credits.
The fun is in the friction.
Exactly. You play the game to figure out the controls, you play it to stumble around the map, to fail a few times, and to eventually master the environment.
Right.
The struggle is the whole point of playing. And maybe the clumsy, embarrassing, beautiful struggle of trying to speak a new language with a stranger, maybe that is the whole point of traveling.